I thank the gentleman. Mr. Perry and I might debate about the causes for the budget cuts at the Pentagon and for the reasons for the budget cuts there. But what we do not debate and what we stand shoulder to shoulder on is the fact that the Army National Guard, the Air National Guard, is the best trained, best equipped, best led National Guard force that we have ever had in our history. I had the honor, before I came to Congress, of serving as the Adjutant General, commanding the 13,000 Army and Air National Guardsmen of the great state of Illinois. And unfortunately, what has happened as the drawdown has started to occur, the Pentagon has put forth a plan that would slash the Army National Guard. You know, the Army National Guard, and for that matter, the Air National Guard, and today we're specifically talking about the Army, but every remark I make applies to the Air National Guard as well. The Army National Guard serves as America's insurance policy. It serves as the shock absorber for our military. We can't maintain a large enough military to answer every contingency, and that's why we have the Army National Guard, and that's why we have the Army Reserve. Those are the soldiers that we call forth when we need them. When we don't need them, they train at home. In 2005, in Iraq, 51% of the soldiers in Iraq were Army National Guardsmen and reservists. 51%, over half were Army National Guard and reserves. Yet today, folks in the Pentagon want to slash the Army National Guard. You know, we had a blizzard in Illinois last week. That blizzard was so bad that Interstate 57 at its juncture with Interstate 70 in Effingham, Illinois was closed. There were 6 jackknife semi-trucks. There were 375 cars stacked up, couldn't get through, snow blowing, 35 below wind chill factor. That blizzard was so bad that the wreckers couldn't get through. That blizzard was so bad that the snowplows, the Illinois Department of Transportation, could not get through. Who got through? What did the governor do? The governor called out the Illinois National Guard. He called out those battlefield wreckers that serve the purpose in battle of going forth on the battlefield and pulling Humvees and other Army vehicles that are damaged and inoperable off the battlefield. Those 8-wheel drive vehicles could get through that blizzard. They could get through those snow drifts. They rescued those hundreds of stranded people in those 375 cars and 6 semi-trucks on Interstate 57. Now, you know, that equipment, that's wartime equipment. And you know what the folks over in the Pentagon are arguing today? Well, they're going to strip every single AH-64 attack helicopter out of the Army National Guard, saying, well, the governors don't need them. You know, what do you need an attack helicopter in the Illinois National Guard or the Pennsylvania National Guard or any other National Guard for? And by the way, Illinois doesn't have AH-64s, so I don't have a dog in this fight other than supporting the National Guard. The Pentagon is saying you don't need them. What's the first maxim you learn in the Army? You train as you fight. You have to train as you fight so you know what you're doing when you go into battle. That's why the Army National Guard needs those attack helicopters, so they can go into battle with them. They will train with them so that they can fight with them. Based on the Army's logic, the Illinois National Guard wouldn't have had those battlefield wreckers to go in and rescue those people. We can't let this happen to the National Guard. You know, I went to the retirement ceremony for Lieutenant General Bill Ingram this week over at Fort Myer, and General Ingram was the TAG of North Carolina. We served together as TAGs. He commanded North Carolina, I had Illinois. He got promoted to Lieutenant General. I got demoted to Congress. But at his retirement ceremony, he got up and spoke. And what was the first unit that the Army called up out of North Carolina in 2001 when we were ready to go to war? It was the attack helicopters. It was the AH-64s. They were the shock absorber. They were the insurance policy for America. You know, while we're talking about the Pentagon, when you look at the Pentagon today, you look at the active duty military establishment, we have more generals and admirals today than we had during World War II. We have an army of less than 500,000 people, and World War II was about 5 million. It was about 10 times the size. But today we have more generals. And every one of those generals on active duty has a staff, and they have cooks and drivers and so on and so forth. Right now they have 250 one- and two-star generals serving on active duty in the Army. We have now a division. You need to understand a division is commanded by a two-star general. Does anybody in here besides Representative Perry and Representative Duckworth know how many active duty divisions we have in the United States Army? We have 10. That's 10 two-star. We have 250 on active duty. I think before we start cutting those soldiers who go out onto that battlefield of a blizzard, operating that battlefield record, pulling people and saving lives, doing that double duty of saving lives in floods, blizzards, and hurricanes, as well as deploying to Afghanistan, I think maybe we need to look at cutting some of that fat, some of that excess, some of those excess two-stars. That's what we need to do. We need to preserve our insurance policy. We need to preserve that best trained, best equipped, and best led National Guard force that has fought for us not only in Afghanistan, not only in Iraq, but also on the home front. And one last pitch for the Illinois National Guard. We have had Illinois National Guard soldiers on duty 24 hours a day, 365 days a year in the battle, first in Iraq and then in Afghanistan, every day since we went into Iraq. Every single day. National Guard soldiers. So to those folks over in the Pentagon who think that National Guard soldiers are second-class soldiers, I've got a few brave people I'd like you to meet. And one of them sitting right there, Lieutenant Colonel Tammy Duckworth. Thank you very much, Mr. Perry.